All right, welcome and welcome back. This is the Something Ventured podcast. This is part 2 of my conversation with Mike Stutz. Mike Stutz, writer, director, producer, actor, Hollywood guy who's figured out a way to hack the media. Hope you enjoy it. Part 2 of my conversation with Mike Stutz. This is the Something Ventured podcast. As I understand it, if you're the press, you show up, you're like, I need a story. Mm-hmm. Like, a bunch of people hate Trump is not really a story. Like, we know that. So, if you get into a fight...
That's a story.
That's
if I'm wearing the Russian general outfit and I get in a fight and the guy in the American military garb, guess who's the asshole? Me, because I'm wearing the Russian garb, right?
Right.
So, yeah, absolutely. You have to make sure that you're, controlling yourself so that you aren't giving him the opportunity. And actually, at the impeachment rally, it was clear that the press wanted the story that was, these two sides are fighting with each other. I should say, at least here in Los Angeles, and it's very different in Arkansas, I'm sure. But, you have a rally of 3,000, 5,000, 7,000, people saying Trump is terrible, we need to do this. And literally 30 people from Trump's, they're always on the same corner, they're always in military garb, they're always waving a flag and holding up a Bible. And it gets represented as there was 2 rallies yesterday.
Right.
Was there 2 rallies yesterday?
Right.
There was a rally,
yeah,
and then there was some angry people on a corner.
Yeah. And that's a version of what CNN and those guys get criticized for, is they're like, you need to have both points of view, and there's another point of view that's like, no, you don't. Like, you don't actually have to hear why a 5-year-old thinks there should be chocolate ice cream growing on trees. Like, no, you don't have to hear all the points of view.
Yeah, one of the, from a bad movie, a good point from a bad movie, there's a movie Bicentennial Man. We talked about this before, so I won't bring up the story again. But essentially that once you allow people to have their own box the same size, on a television screen, you give them equal weight to their opinion. And I know we talked about this on another podcast, so I'll let it go. But yes, and I do have a question for the right and the Trump supporters and things, or at least I have a statement. You've got to decide. I hear from all of them that George Soros is paying all of us on the left, which is fantastic, hilarious.
That sweet Soros
But
money.
yet, when people drive by or walk by and they're the supporters, they always say, get a job. Inevitably, the one thing out of their mouth is get a job. Yeah. So either we have a job through George Soros, or we need to get a job and we're slacktivists. But you can't have it both ways. You're critiquing me on oppositely opposed things. Oppositely opposed. Yeah. So. It is fascinating to me, this Soros idea. And I can say to those listening out there that I know the activists who have organized most of the major rallies in Los Angeles in the last 6 months. Not all of them. There are a lot of activists out there. But I know the organizers of most of the big ones, right? Mm-hmm. When they come to mind, I think of a computer program. There's like a computer programmer, not like head of Apple computer programmer, like a guy who works as a computer programmer. Actually, 2 of them are computer programmers, don't know each other. Right. I think of another person who's a musician, has several kids. A lot of them are women with multiple young kids who are just working their asses off because they also believe in the cause.
Right.
I don't know a single. Well, certainly there's no paid activist that I've run into. But beyond that, I don't even know really activists who have a lot of money. Like you can go to pages when you look at a rally, anything's coming up, tax rally, march, or whatever. They'll have a GoFundMe on there, and the GoFundMe will be like people donating $1, $5, $10. Like there are no.
Right.
I wish there were. That would be amazing. I would love to have money to do these things. This is all out of pocket, and I work jobs so that I can pay for this stuff. But I find it hilarious, and I think the reason being, and this is not fake news, that Trump did pay people to show up to his rallies, and he has in the past paid people to hold signs. That is on the record,
right? And
so it is that projection of like, well, your rallies must be fake too. The logic on this, to me, also baffles me a touch. Because, so the idea is that I'm being paid, so that otherwise I would be a Trump supporter. Otherwise I support the right, but because I'm being paid, I come out and I protest for the left.
Right.
So all of these actors and people you hate are actually Trump supporters, apparently. So,
they're just getting that sweet activist money.
I just think they need to get their story a little straight. Yeah, but I just want to know.
But does not seem to hurt them. Like that whole...
No, of course not.
That whole... I mean, that's I don't know what that trick is called, but the turnaround thing where...
I know you are, but what am I? I believe it's called I know you are, but what am I?
It is exactly that, which is there was the guy who... Not to I don't want to say the wrong thing here, but the guy who looked like he was an unemployed guy from a trailer park, was yelling at the people doing the rally, the trailer park must be empty today. You guys all came from a trailer park. And you're like, that's the insult that the snotty rich kid shouldn't be yelling at you.
Right.
And you're yelling back at this support. And it just seems like an example of that. Like when Donald Trump did it with Hillary Clinton. Like, you're in the Russians' pocket, which makes...
Not a puppet.
Which makes...
Not a puppet. Exactly. Not a puppet. No puppet.
Which makes exactly no sense, but it's like, you know...
Yeah.
You've got little hands. Like it's such an odd, so it's odd to see this guy who, if you were going to cast somebody who was in that role, he was like, the trailer park's supposed to be empty today. Look at these losers.
Well, and it's the, you know, yeah. And God bless him. He's passionate about what he's doing, and I could hear him screaming as I was doing my speech yesterday. And you know, they're doing what they're doing the same thing I'm doing. And I believe they believe in the cause. I don't know. To me, I don't feel they're well informed. I'm not sure that it's benefiting the country, but I get it.
I got to say, at least that guy is out there. Like, he's not sitting back collecting his, you know, tax breaks.
Well, and hey, they prove what I'm saying, which is 30 of them show up to everything. And it's the same guys. You can see, like, their faces in the pictures. They're like, oh, yeah, there's military guy. You know, and I don't mean military guy like he served in the military. No. I mean, he's in full... like raggedy, camo, and he looks like he's about to go to a war game, and I'm sure he wasn't in the military. Like, I'm sure a real military guy is like, what are you wearing? But
has some half-baked plan to go off the grid. Misses a few key.
But I'm sure there are very, very smart and well put together Trump supporters. I'm not implying that everybody is some toothless hillbilly. No offense to toothless hillbillies, but they prove the point, which is only 30 of them show up, and yet the news says there were 2 rallies, right? Yeah. So if none of those 30 showed up, then it would only be 1 rally, and we win, right? So they are showing up. Now, whether someone's driving them down there, I have no idea. But that's my point with all of this. Yes, there is a point. Is that it doesn't matter if everything you want isn't going to happen. You have to ask for it. You have to demand it. You have to say, this is wrong. I don't stand for this. I see you. Yeah. And if that means that you're out on a corner by yourself, so be it. And I have been out on corners by myself. I have been wearing a chicken suit on a corner saying, don't be chicken, keep fighting back by myself. Yeah. And cars drive by and you're still drawing eyes. You're still pushing an agenda that's important. Yep. And too often people go, oh yeah, I definitely want to do that. I should jump in. The most important thing is boots on the street, right? Yep. So yes, it's important to rant to your friends on Facebook who all believe the same thing you believe, but and yes, it is very, very important. Absolutely, indivisible guide. Getting in touch with your congressman, getting in touch with your senator, even if they're voting with you, you still need to be making those calls. You still need to be writing letters, not emails. Emails get thrown in the digital trash. Forget it. But like signing online petitions, like go sign your toilet paper. Like that is not going to do anything. And you need to put on your pants, put on shoes, walk out there, even if it's just you standing in your front yard for an hour a week, and you need to say where you stand, because this is a time where we need to be active. I do not believe I'm being hyperbolic. Yep. When I say I would not be out there all the time. Yeah. I would not be like running from work. No, it's like, well, I have a good time, and there are really nice people, but it is 6 hours in the sun a lot of times. Yeah, and you're sweating to death when I'm wearing my Abe Lincoln costume and hat and wig, and it's 100 degrees. But things change quickly. Yeah, people don't understand how quickly things change. Yeah, you've learned it in the 6 months.
0% chance Donald Trump could win. Yes. All of my friends, 0. No way.
I understand.
Not 2, 0.
But it is, things happen quickly between 1933 and 1938. No. Do I think Trump's Hitler? No. But do I think that we could go down a path where we could be in a really bad place and where democracy really could cease to exist? Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. This is the moment I was called for. Now, this is the skill set that I have. Yep. I'm a natural born contrarian. I like to say no. I like to disagree. Yeah. That is annoying in a lot of ways. But I have a smart ass personality. I love politics and I love history, and I always have. Mm-hmm. This time seems to have been built for me, which is no. I'm going to use these powers normally associated with the dark side to try and fight for the cause, to try and fight for the resistance. And I think there's a lot of us out there. And I think my plea to someone listening out there who may have the same skill set or may have some of the same things is get off your ass, man. We're Useful Idiots. You can find us, Useful Idiots LA on Twitter, on Facebook. We're easy to find, and you can go to my movie website. I won't give out my personal email only because that's I don't need the Trumpies, but you can go to my movie website and contact me through that. Or there's a lot.
What's the movie website?
Don'tchangethesubject.org, and there's a contact button there. So we have people in San Francisco, Berkeley, Seattle, Austin, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Diego. We're not just an LA group.
Right.
We want people to step up and be creative and go out there and stand their ground. I mean, I read a great article a month ago. A guy was just it was called Old Guy with a Sign. He was in Austin. And he was just an old guy who was fed up, so he had a sign that's just guy, Trump don't seem right, or whatever it was, right?
Everyone's seen that guy.
Everyone's seen that guy, right? Yeah. And we're talking about him, right? Yep. You want to make a difference? Someone wrote a story, and yes, it is true. Whether we like it or not, the media has a lot of power to put stories out there. Yeah. But now you and I are sitting here talking about that guy. Well, that guy didn't expect that, right? Yeah. And this is what I'm trying to get across. You think that there's this big, impenetrable world out there of media that I would never be on CNN, or I would never be in The Guardian, or I would never have those things happen to me. No. Go to a rally, be creative, get out there, and they'll come up and talk to you. And then know what you want to say. Yep. Say it clearly. And if you don't say it clearly, ask to say it again. Yep. And you may just find yourself being able to speak for it. The most challenging thing is, the scary thing is, yesterday, I happened to be walking through Pershing Square hours before the rally, and I saw a news van, and I was wearing a shirt that was a little political, and she said, "Oh, are you here for the rally?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm here, and I'm speaking actually at the rally." And, "Oh, okay, would you mind coming talk to us?" But I just happened to be standing there, right? And I got a minute of airtime on the news, right? So that could have been anyone. Right? That could have just been some schmo. It could have been someone who's a Trump supporter. It could have been someone who's a Nazi. God knows. But they, if they represent themselves as from this side, even if they're ripping their own idea but doing it really poorly, right? That's the scary thing is, people take you at your word. Oh yes, are you progressive? Are you a part of the resistance? Yeah. Yes. Right. I probably shouldn't be saying any of this because a little bell went off in someone's head. They're like, worried about it. And I've seen it done the other way too. People will, all I'll say to anybody with that idea is we could do it to the other side too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll paint the picture of this rally because you walk out of the hotel, everyone's dressed as presidents, Dolly Madison, different important people in American history.
Yes.
Downtown Los Angeles, the rally is gathering. And you're walking down the street with a coffin that says, the end of the presidency. And people start cheering, a Pied Piper style crowd starts forming. And there's other people who have shown up to the rally with sort of the Price is Right style. I mean, very cool, but they have a straw and it says the last straw and that kind of stuff. But it must have been hundreds of people taking pictures, media. I mean, everybody turned to this single shiny object that was clearly something something was happening. And I think it changed the energy that was there. It certainly expanded the megaphone of this rally of 10,000 people to whatever was on the end of all those iPhones and all those cameras.
Absolutely. And that is a big, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
That was
but that is part of our strategy too. It's a multi-pronged strategy that we're trying to help draw media coverage for the event, right? Not for us, which is really important distinction to make.
Which is
we don't hashtag our group on the signs.
There's no hashtags on any signs. No,
we do not, and we do not promote our signs. I don't say "Hey, I'm here from Useful Idiot." I mean, sometimes we'll get introduced as our group, right? But generally, we do not promote ourselves. If you go to our Twitter, we have 70, 80 followers. We don't want that. It's not about us. It's about the message. And I will talk to organizers ahead of time. We don't coordinate. But I will reach out and say, hey, what are you guys doing? What are you trying to get across here so that we can keep our message in the bounds? So we're not stepping on their message. We're not here to hijack their message, and we're not here to draw attention to the group. I'm on the podcast today to talk about it because I would like to motivate other people to possibly join us, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's great. But in terms of the when we've made the mistake is if it's me just basking in, and there are certainly moments you go like, cool, I got this cool shot.
Right.
But if it's me just basking in like, hey, aren't I cool, right? Like, that's the wrong reason to do it. The reason to do it is like, hey, we got coverage. And what happens is, I know also as a producer, they can choose to give a lot of coverage or a little coverage to whatever rally's going on. A great example I'll give you is I did a rally 2 weeks ago. It was another sort of impeachment thing. And it was a woman in the Valley who just, again, got fed up. She's got 2 young kids. She works at the VA. And her husband's got the kids in tow, and she called up friends and family. Her mom's there,
Right.
Rachel Rosen, very nice woman, and very active, with West Side Resistors and a couple of other an Indivisible group. Well, someone told me about them, but it was very random connection. But I was like, all right, I'm free on Thursday. I'll pop in there. And I wore the General Bolshitsky, right? And the rest of them had signs, and they were cool signs, and God bless them. And like, there's nothing wrong with showing up with a homemade sign or even no sign and just standing and applauding.
Yeah.
Great. I'm not against that at all. And you shouldn't say, well, if I'm not going to dress,
No.
if I'm not going to dress as a Russian general, I'm not going, right? But I showed up as the Russian general, and I think that they would say the same thing. I think that they appreciated it.
Yep.
And I had my sign, and I marched around I kept marching like across the street, over and over, like back across this really busy street. And there were guys from LA Times and LA Daily News and a couple of other outlets, KTLA, I think, showed up. LA Times took a really cool shot where it was just a fun, cool shot. It looked like everyone's having a good time, which they were.
Yep.
That shot went into a Sunday Times article on Brad Sherman, who brought impeachment charges, the one congressman to bring impeachment charges. So there's the big picture right there. Then it went to the announcement of the impeachment rally, and it went to a lot of the other news outlets picked that picture up as like, hey, the impeachment rally is happening, and here's this Russian general with these other people behind him, right? So this was a rally that was probably 20, 25 people, which... if it's just folks with signs, it may or may not get covered. But if you've got something that creates a picture or makes a good video, then the coverage will expand. And that expanded coverage will get picked up by... because everything is interlocked now, right?
Yep.
AP does an article. If you manage to be compelling... because if you're wearing this outfit, right, they'll take you whether you say something stupid or smart. But they don't care. It's not right that they need you to say something stupid. They just need you to say something that works.
Right.
So AP picks something up, and that goes out to 100 news outlets, or 200. It goes on all the local news across the country because ABC Feed put it out, or those kind of things. So in this case, wearing the Russian general thing, no, it's like, oh, God bless you, you wore a costume.
Yeah.
But it maybe helped get a little more exposure that then helped them to build momentum. They did another rally the next week, a die-in about healthcare, right? And it was bigger.
Yep.
And they were able to say, hey, we got coverage last week for this cause. Hey, show up. We want to get coverage this week for our cause, right? And you're able to build these things, and that's what we're doing. But yeah, the secrets are, don't promote yourself. Don't promote your brand. Promote what's going on, because if I'm in the press, I do not want to see hashtag Kent Lindstrom. I don't want to see your podcast at the bottom of the sign, right? Get out there, stay smart, and then not only don't worry about it if media isn't there. People get frustrated. Oh, like media didn't show up to this event. How many Facebook pictures are out there? How many Twitter pictures out? How many Instagram pictures?
Right.
You go on Instagram and look at like what we did yesterday. You've got over and over 100 likes, 200 likes, whatever. How like people are looking at the image. They're putting it up on their wall. They're sharing it with friends, even if it's just like, oh, look at these crazy weirdos, right? But your message, that sign, is there, and you're saying over and over, impeach Donald Trump. In the same way that CNN is ISIS, right?
Right.
We're saying impeach Donald Trump.
Yep.
And if more people are seeing impeach Donald Trump, whether or not they have decided they want to impeach Donald Trump, it's a part of the conversation.
Yep.
And if you are not out there and you're not trying and you're not making the effort, it is not a part of the conversation, and you will disappear. Like, these rallies can work, but you have to be creative. And you can't show up with the same thing every week.
Yep.
You got to show up different every week. You look at our rallies, we're different. Every rally we go to, we might repeat something once or twice. And you see, like when we did the Science March, we were all dressed as characters from the North Pole. I was Santa, and it was all these different people saying, oh, my reindeer are dying, my workshop is melting, all these things. Great pictures. We got coverage everywhere. We got, Politico, best sign, best this, like all those kind of things, right? we went to the Long Beach rally that was just the next week. We went again as the same characters, a lot less coverage. Now, it was a slightly smaller rally, but, and I'm not saying less coverage for Long Beach. I'm not claiming that we have that much influence, but I'm saying we weren't seen as much because the same photographers and video guys who had been there the week before and covered us, they can't bring the same thing back to their editor, right? They can't just say like, hey, look, they're there again, right? So vary it. Find a way to reuse what you have. Change your signs up a little bit. Change your message. If you're doing rallies and you're doing them week after week, have a theme to it. It's Thanksgiving dinner week this week. Okay, fine. That's something I can cover, right? So be a little bit creative. Use things that come from the lizard brain. Use basic stuff that is like dating, like like Thanksgiving dinner, like the holidays, like the Santa was a good one because people just go like, I know what Santa is. I don't have to think through that, right? Russian general, okay, Boris and Natasha, I got it, right? We did one called Orange Fever where we looked like zombies. We were painted orange and we said orange fever is catching, and we had humor with it though. We said we did that a few times, but we did it most recently at Pride. We said orange fever, and the idea that this fever catches from the top, and then everybody starts to get it, and it causes racism and homophobia and hand shrinkage, right? But the hand shrinkage gets the laugh, right? So you go like, oh, they're not overly earnest with whatever's going on, and that being the last sort of point with this is in that we took a great picture in the LA Times with a she was beautiful. She was in a beautiful orange dress that had a Trump print all over it and stuff. And she stepped in and said, can I take a picture with you guys? Yes, absolutely. And looked great. And we were doing our thing. And the combination that we wouldn't have planned worked great. And we had in the Daily News yesterday, a guy in a Trump outfit lays down in front of the coffin. All of a sudden, that becomes the picture, right? So you have to be careful you're not doing something offensive or something that's going to screw you. But like, be open, man. Just show up. Be a little creative, and then be open to what happens, and you'll find that your message will get out there. And I think this applies even beyond progressive politics. Like if you've got another cause, I had a friend from the Audubon Society get in touch with me recently, and he was like, okay, I'm in. Like, you've shown me, like, okay, we need attention. What do we do? And so it's like, great, oily birds, let's do it. You know, like, this can apply to more things. Be creative, have fun. Someone made fun of me yesterday, tried to make fun of me by saying, like, oh, you guys are just doing cosplay. I'm like, yes, we are. What do you mean? Oh, you mean I'm not Abraham Lincoln? Oh, okay, you're right. You got me. You're like, of course it's cosplay. Yes, we're putting on costumes. We're having a good time. But we're careful about our message, and we believe in what we're talking about.
Well, that's the story I wanted to tell.
No one's listening. They're just like, oh, political. Just cut the first 5 minutes of our thing and just cut to the rest of it.
I say that every time, and then every week the downloads go up and up somehow.
But yeah, please do go get in touch. Where are you? Where are you, folks? Like I was in New York. I know we're finishing, and I don't want to take up any more time. We're already too long. But I was in New York.
It's a
I put on
podcast.
General Bolshitsky. I was at work. I put on Bolshitsky. I walked through Times Square. People flocked. People were all over that, and they wanted to know what's the message and all this stuff, right? Why was I the only one in Times Square? Why was I the only one wearing a costume? Why was the only political protest? This does not mean there's not a lot of political protests in New York. I don't want to get calls from people saying, like, we protest all the time, right? But there should always be someone in Times Square. They should just be as regular as the naked cowboy. Like, there should always be a progressive protester or 10 in Times Square 24 hours a day. It is a town of actors. What are you people doing? You own costumes. Get out there and get the message out there. I just can't stress that strongly enough. So get in touch. We're going to talk. We're going to make this happen.
Excellent. And if you haven't seen the General Bolshitsky outfit, you should Google it or figure out the website. You should see the photos from the Impeachment March LA 2017 are very cool.
Yes,
the photos are all cool. Even if you're not going to go out and do anything, go look at these photos. They're great.
If they go, they can also go to my Twitter, which is Suicide Blows, because I did a suicide prevention movie. Don't change the subject. But Suicide Blows is my Twitter, and you can see all the pictures, all of these things. You can certainly go to the Useful Idiots LA page as well. But if you just want to see mine, there's plenty of stuff there that's fun to look at. Even if you hate us, they're still kind of entertaining in their own way.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing all this. This has been great.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. Anytime. I just want to beat the other people. I just want to be on more.
All right. That's been Mike Stutz talking about how to hack the media. Thanks so much. This is Something About Your Podcast.